Greetings, humans, and welcome once again to Red Seal Roundup here at Red Seal Gaming, episode number
16.
Christopher?
16.
16, and he says it with such joy and verve.
Yes.
Ladies and
It's
gentlemen,
my favorite number.
it's your new favorite number. It's been my favorite number for all eternity. This week on Red Seal Roundup, we have added the missing link, I guess we could call him.
Yes, the original.
Christopher is one of 3 of the original bullshit boys, or the bullshit squad from Bullshit Castle.
Yes, small. We got a little history of our backyard shenanigans at my house, right? We sit in the yard and
In front of a fireplace.
pseudo fireplace.
And pretty much spent about 15 hours bullshitting.
Bullshitting.
I think the last time we did the Bullshit Castle, I was like, oh man, it's 11 o'clock. We can't watch another episode of DS9. I didn't leave your house until like 4 in the morning.
It was
Because
3:45.
All we do is just
bullshit.
talk bullshit.
And I remember on the way home going, man, we could have watched like 4 more
Yeah,
episodes.
that was literally 4 more
We
episodes.
could have watched 4 more episodes. Damn it.
all
We
right.
got to stop bullshitting.
You got to
And
get
it's
the
never gonna
bullshit
happen.
in. Yes,
It's never going to happen.
Yeah, so the backyard bullshit was around barbecues and some drinks and occasional cigar, and then so the Red Seal Roundup is almost like a the heir to those late night.
The redheaded stepchild.
Yes. So we welcome Chris to our
No offense to all the gingers out there.
Thank you very much for having me. This is awesome.
Yes.
Glad to be here.
welcome back.
Welcome.
Glad to hang out with you guys around this festive fire.
On the 16th
Yes,
episode.
yes.
Of
Yes, the
Red Seal
16th
Roundup.
episode. Begrudgingly, the 16th episode.
I think it's fitting.
It's funny.
Yeah,
It wasn't
it's
planned that way. I'll tell you that much.
Nah,
But
it
still.
was
It is
It
funny.
wasn't planned at all. That
Yes. And we have another guest.
because I have. Oh, you want to talk about?
No, we'll talk
You
about
want-
her later.
Talk about who?
Who? I don't know. I can't.
I
see.
can't see
She's not gonna do it.
who this is right here. For those that aren't watching, there's a very large
WizKids Mini.
WizKids mini. What is it? Can we even call it a mini anymore at this point?
Once again, jumbo shrimp, right?
Jumbo-
It's the
Jumbo
largest
shrimp.
mini of all
Is that
time.
a man riding a shrimp?
Yeah, oh my God. Yeah, that is
I think we could call it gargantuan.
Gargantuan, which is what it is. It's a gargantuan WizKids mini. But we'll talk to her. We'll talk about her.
her. We mentioned
a
her
little bit.
last week, but now she's in.
She has
The
arrived.
flesh.
She has arrived in all her glory.
Yeah, so that Bullshit Castle, a little backstory there. In news, right? We got some. Let's start right away with the Star Wars news. We talked last week. Still no Obi-Wan trailer.
Sucks.
It's almost like Star Wars is
I
trolling
need
us.
my hello there so bad right now. I
Yeah.
can't
If
tell
he
you.
doesn't say hello there in this trailer and or this show, I'm quitting Star
No,
Wars
no,
forever.
it is a missed opportunity. If there is
I
not
will-
a
you know
single.
what? I might actually stop talking about Star Wars for like a week if he doesn't say hello there in the trailer.
Yeah, so in good Star Wars news, besides no Obi-Wan trailer, they did cast an actress for Sabine Wren from Rebels in live action who should be in Ahsoka. Her name is Natasha Bordizzo. I know what other shows she's in, but she has the exact look of what Sabine would look like in. It's a great casting. I think she's got great accolades from what I'm hearing as an actress. So really interesting now. Now you got like the pieces to, if you haven't seen Rebels, to find Ezra. That the whole ending of Rebels was left on a cliffhanger, trying to find Ezra as the character, and it was Ahsoka and Sabine.
Yeah, there was that whole thing where they thought maybe DJ from the prequel trilogy might have been an
Maybe.
Ezra.
Maybe.
Might have
Don't
been
join.
a maybe.
DJ.
Yeah, something like that. So it'll be nice to see if we can even get that character back, or if we can find out where he went, because the end of Rebels leaves him very much on a cliffhanger.
Yes.
So
Ezra
it's
was-
good because that leaves plenty of room for them to just give us more.
and you're getting Thrawn with that. So like they casted.
Did they cast her on?
So the Ezra and Thrawn, the rumored castings are there. It's not confirmed. The really interesting about Thrawn is it's supposed to be the actor who's the voice actor for Rebels.
Oh,
And he
okay.
has a very distinct
Oh, yeah,
voice
no,
as
he's
Thrawn.
good.
And he's got the facial I think he's Norwegian. He has a very gaunt, he could be, obviously painted blue with the right hair, done.
Very angular.
Oh, he could be a fantastic Thrawn. So one step closer into fleshing out that storyline, and then seeing where, the Ahsoka, her whole, it's going to be Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. So interesting to see. I think that was some good Star Wars news. What else do we have? There was some interesting news on some other TV shows that are coming up down the road. There was Hasbro, it's E1, I think it's called, is their entertainment division. They were in an interview recently saying that there's more than one D&D show that's in development as we speak.
Does more than one mean 2, or does more than one mean 7?
I guess, like, what is it?
The more the merrier.
Yeah.
More the merrier.
Yeah, when
indeed,
you when you have a few or you have like a bunch, or I guess that it's always more than one.
Do you
How many
think,
heads does Tiamat have? Let's go with that
yeah.
many.
Do you think this is
5 shows.
in like direct response to Critical Role's success in creating animation?
Yeah, I mean, you have to. I
As
mean,
Chris vehemently shakes his
There
head,
is
yes.
absolutely no question that Critical Role has put all of the D&D stuff on the trajectory that it's at.
Yeah, exactly.
and put pressure on them as a company
Well,
to be
good
like
pressure,
content.
though. I think it's good pressure. I think it's like, hey, if you're not going to do it, we're going to do it.
Yep.
We're going to make all the money. So,
And I think like knowing that like Wheel of Time is a book that's been turned into a show now, and we still haven't heard much about it, but the Lord of the Rings show is supposed to be coming. Amazon spent a ton of money on
yeah,
that show.
So, that's big money, big backing. Amazon, Lord of the Rings has a D&D set coming out.
Yeah.
A standard legal set. I mean, it's going to be everywhere.
yeah, and I
If
think
you're a gamer or into the gaming culture, you're going to see it on TV. You're going to have the movies probably being re-released in the theaters because that's what they do. They build the hype. We're going to have a MTG full standard set.
And D&D's a cash cow for them right now. It's making them money. So like, why not capitalize on just shows, even animated or live action?
Strike
So,
while the iron's hot, man.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I mean, and once again, we talked about how like TV's the way to go. Like worrying about a 2.5 hour, 3 hour movie is of ancient times now, kind of like
tired of
moving
waiting.
forward.
Look, what's bothering us? I mean, we have our Star Wars stuff, which we love, but what's bothering us with Star Wars is the delays in the movies we talked about last week.
Yes,
with the other
yeah,
movie. It's
yeah.
movie problems, and if that's all we had right now, we'd be disheartened.
No, yeah, the
If we just
TV's
had that
filling the hole for
Squadrons
sure.
movie and it got canceled.
I had to say though, there is something about sitting in the theater and seeing the Lucasfilm logo come up on
my
the big
goodness.
screen.
I still love it.
There really is like
I
there's
still
very
love it.
few logos that come up. I mean, it used to be 20th Century Fox was a big thing. I used to like that used to come on like da 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 da.
Yeah.
I feel like the Marvel, like the flipping of the pages, has
That's-
become that for this
Yes.
generation.
And that music has become very kind of distinct now, where it wasn't in the beginning. It's got its
You just
own
mentioned
theme.
it, and I
Yeah.
got chills.
My
Just
wife-
mentioning the music because it went off in my head as you said it.
My wife says it all the time, sitting on the couch watching anything Marvel, that as soon as that song comes on, she kind of gets pumped up. Like it's definitely. Speaking of how TV can sometimes be better than movies, saw the Eternals just recently.
Oh, we can see. Yeah.
No spoilers, no nothing like
Okay.
that. But there's a lot of characters in there, and it's definitely something that would have been much better if it had been a TV show.
Okay.
Like 12
You
episodes.
could you
something
could
like
you
that.
could have definitely expounded on all the characters. You could have shown a little bit more of like their backstory.
People would complain a lot. It was such a big cast.
So tight, so tight.
to give
it was
everyone
still
a
almost
spotlight.
3 hours, but
Okay.
it could have been 5, 6. Could have been like a mini marathon almost, and would have been. I think
But there's a lot of
maybe
love
better.
for the Eternal storyline, so they probably could have done it better on the
I wonder if
TV
you could
show
have gotten
side.
that cast to do a TV
I don't know if you
show.
get Angelina Jolie to do a TV show.
That's like a Marvel
I don't know,
TV
man.
show.
There's some people on TV shows nowadays that you'd be surprised.
You get $10 million an episode. I'll take it.
And I'm sure, in today's market, I'm sure they could do stuff like that. So, I mean, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. Once again, D&D is like a tough, we've had bad D&D movies. You know what I mean? Like, so
That'll make my heart ache more so than we did last week with that bad Star Wars.
if it's not animated and you do go live for D&D TV, it's a tough, there's a certain
You gotta
amount of
spend the
budget.
money.
There's got to be a budget.
you gotta
and,
spend the money. Lord of the Rings proved it.
Yeah.
As
and
as
The Witcher, look at
As
Witcher.
we'll discuss a little later.
Game
Lord
of
the
Thrones
Rings-
proved it.
Game of Thrones proved
Yeah.
it as well.
You can do high fantasy if you do it right.
if you do it right, and you
But
spend and you gotta spend the money.
You can still screw it up,
Yeah.
as Game of Thrones showed us as well.
Yes. But it wasn't so much the production value that screwed up, it's the end of the story. Like their production value was really grand across
Always.
all of it to the very end. As bad as it was, the mountain duel on the steps, like on the dragon fire at the end, like all the sacking of the city, those they're so like D&D is kind of the stories suck, but even their production's been like, is that 90s era, special effects? It wasn't there yet. So there's a lot more tools that they have now to make it what we would want.
More than one is good anyway. That's all we need to know.
I think we're all. Sorry, guys.
Good. No, what were we gonna say?
I think we're also living in an era where the people who loved D&D are the ones that are making and greenlighting these things.
Yes.
Yes.
In the 90s, you still had the business suit. The guy was like, what's that D&D you playing?
Yeah.
Like, you still had the people that were on the outside looking
Who's that
in.
Tiamat?
They were on the outside looking in, looking for the cash. I feel like today you have like your Filonis and your Favreaus and people that are in
Fans.
love with it. They are fans and they want to do it justice.
Joe Mann is like he's involved in like a bunch of things right now.
The
like
Weiss and Hickman stuff, he's very involved in. He's got his own podcast that he's doing too.
He's actually doing something with there's a Fire and Ice esque style cartoon that he's producing. It's a small budget thing, but like they got their finger on the pulse, like you said. That community wants to be involved.
A Frazetta fan too. So
I mean,
it all adds up. Again, because he's a fan of all these things, that's why it's getting done.
Yeah, and you got people like you said, like people with their that are actively. It's no longer the suits in the top of a building.
Maybe like what Chris brought up about fans. Maybe that's why D&D finally got a Magic set, because the people that are developing Magic are fans of D&D.
Yeah,
I don't know about that. I think that was a money. I think it goes.
It is always money in the end, but
it goes to 5e being so prolific and so good and in the zeitgeist of everything.
And the eyes are on it. You know, like when there's a tension on something, it's like the news. Like the worst event could have happened, but then the next worst event scrubs it out of history. Like you'll never know like what happened prior to something really bad. So it's kind of like eyes are on D&D right now as a product, and people like what, you know, obviously they want to cash in on it, but sometimes you get good things out of that too. So I know we'll see what there was some more talk of other things were said by the Hasbro exec, which I didn't go fully into it, but just hearing that there's more than one, we'll take it.
We'll take it.
In other show news, we did know about an Aliens TV show that was being produced. There's also a Blade Runner TV show that's being in production, Ridley Scott is part of the writing aspect to that, which he might also be part of the Aliens TV show. So once again,
I mean, Blade Runner, it's I don't know. I
cool,
like it, but it's like I don't watch it as often. Like I won't rewatch it. It's not one of those.
No. It's
movies
definitely
I stop and watch all the time.
It is though a very cyberpunk setting where you can do CSI Miami, but make it into CSI Cyberpunk.
Just bring a little more
Blade
action
Runner
into it, as opposed to just keep the soundtrack, because I always liked the aesthetic.
Oh,
and
the
sound,
soundtracks, especially the
really
newest
cool.
one, was freaking
But
fantastic.
bring the action up a little higher if you're going to do a TV show.
It's hard too. Is it only focused around chasing replicants in the end? Is there more to the world? A TV show is always a place though where you can flesh out and take risks.
Any rumor of time zone, like first movie, second movie, as where it's taking place?
No, I mean, and the first movie and second movie took place within a
20,
single
20
generation,
years.
because it was like a daughter
it's
to
20 years of each other.
the first
she's in
cast.
20. Well, I don't want to spoil the movie.
I'd like to see him do before. I'd like to see how did we get to that.
How did
that
you get
era?
to the
like
replicant?
how did you get to the Harrison Ford movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Why replicants became
Why is it a thing? Why are they not good?
What's better, replicants or Boston Dynamic robots? I don't know. Neither.
There it is.
Yeah. I don't know. That's even scarier because now they're hidden in at least the robot metal is to be seen at all times, albeit it'll sit there silently
replicants
forever.
are flesh.
But yeah, like to be like the whole idea of the Blade Runner is to like it's a very specific way to have to track down a replicant and see if it's all that questioning, the repetitive questioning, and see if they're gonna break physically.
See if they're off their baseline.
That's crazy.
Well, it's kind of like you're going back to Battlestar. Battlestar Galactica was like pretty much all that with
All that,
the Cylons,
Cylons,
not knowing
the
who
new
was a Cylon
Cylons,
at the point.
Yes. So
Them not even knowing that they were Cylons too. That's the other thing.
they don't even know.
They don't even
like,
know
that's
that
even
they were.
scary.
Only Jimi Hendrix knows.
Only.
But yeah, so there's some cool TV show news coming down the road. We'll have to wait and see. Once again, there's no time frames, but like it's cool. Those things are in the works.
Yeah, and all things we love. So
Yes. And I think what our final news, we did talk about D23 really quick, was they had a D23, once again, no Obi-Wan, but they did announce other cool, we're giant Disney fans, so like all the Disney tech that's coming out for the parks and stuff.
The lightsaber.
Those lightsabers?
The lightsaber looks amazing.
So they lit up one of the lightsabers on stage, like the extending one, and that was impressive.
It was it goes so slow. But that's more impressive than it just zipping really fast. Like you got to see it kind of extend.
It looks like it's forming,
and you still had no idea how it was doing.
And it looked pretty like it wasn't like he was doing full acrobatics with it, but like
he wasn't Ray Parkin with it, but he was moving it around, and it wasn't like because there were a lot of people that said that it was kind of like basically an LED strip that would spin around so quick that it would appear to your eye to be a full shaft of light.
Okay.
But if you moved that around, then the swinging would kind of like
cellophane flapping
that
around.
makes sense because how you're talking about space. How is that blade disappearing into that hilt? So it has to be something that can
compact itself.
Yeah.
But like he was moving it around, and there wasn't really any flex in the blade. At least it looked from From the vantage
from I mean, it's on stage for them, so it was interesting. That was they showed the inside of the Star Galactic, the new hotel. It's not a hotel, it's the experience. There's a lightsaber training room where they're gonna have remote shooting lasers at you, and you get to block them. It looked pretty cool. And then they had the bridge. The
bridge looked amazing.
The bridge where you get to go onto the bridge and
what ship?
Of the Galactic Star Cruiser.
Okay.
So if you've ever been on a cruise, the captain always calls you up to the bridge so you can see how the thing plays. Apparently, you get called up to the bridge as a group to like tour the facilities, and then the First Order shows up.
Then you get an attack,
and then you get recruited to start helping in the fight against the First Order. And there's screens all around, like if you were on the bridge.
Yeah, and the console
it's
actually
only $5,000 for 3 nights.
Yeah, it's not.
They make sure everybody hits the Patreon this month, so we can increase that.
Keep clicking away. They actually have so it's like a dual system where they have someone tracks. There's a reticule out on the screen tracking the TIE fighters and stuff, and someone's shooting the lasers. So in tandem, you're protecting the bridge.
Okay.
There was a console where you could redirect the shields and then the final thing was they jumped to hyperspace. He pulled the thing, and then the whole bridge just jumps into hyperspace. Pretty impressive tech. And then there was another thing they did. There was 2 other things that they showed was the EVO system of a way for cast members to wear very large costumes without the weight. So I guess, obviously big costumes is hard to do. A guy in stilts in a suit, a lot of foam. They had these armatures, an exoskeleton, that's why it was called Exo, with 3D printed hands, where the guy was literally able to articulate these giant Hulk-sized hands.
All by being in front of him?
Yeah, being very light. And then even the stilt system he's walking in, you could tell he was, it wasn't, natural legs walking, but he could literally almost pick things up, shake your hand. And they said the ability to have cast members put on costumes. I can imagine Sully from Monsters Incorporated, a big Sully, a Wampa. It had white boots.
He was a Wampa.
It was a Wampa for sure. I mean, and he could be a full-size Wampa.
Maybe a Grievous.
Ooh, that'd be a tough one. That'd be awesome.
I've seen fan made.
With people behind the cloak.
You could see. I mean, you could still see, but it's still from about 5-10 feet away. It still looks legit.
But you could do things like a
Disney money behind that.
Full-size Hulk character walking around the park. He was literally on stilts. So he's 9 foot tall.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting.
Fun with that.
They actually had a fully articulated self-walking Groot. It was a robot that was walking on his own with no tether, and they show it without the skin, and then it had a Groot skin, and he's just walking and pointing, and I don't know if it's for the Avengers campus or if that's gonna be somewhere else, but they showed the behind the scenes of their studio where they're inventing all this shit, and it's like a mad scientist,
and he's worried about Boston Dynamics, and yet we got a real life Groot walking around. That's a problem.
That's
Going back to the bridge scene for a second, they also put in there that you're going to be able to go on an adventure. You can actually choose to become part of the First Order. You could be a spy on the ship for the First Order, or you could actually be part of the Resistance,
or the CD cartel. There's other CD scum and villainy things taking place in the ship that you could also ally with.
Okay.
They actually showed pictures of a cast member handing over a data slate. And
you're making choices.
You're making choices, or you're taking it.
Choose your own adventure kind of thing.
And they showed the main cast members, the people that you will be dealing with. There's a First Order officer there. There's a Twi'lek, entrepreneur or someone. They actually showed off the clothes you're going to be able to buy on to be in theme and have a cosplay. And there's Twi'lek, not Twi'lek, Togruta Leku you can wear, male or female. All you got. I mean, I don't know if that's part of it. If part of the price, probably not. You're probably going to have to buy all that stuff extra. So it's definitely a pricey event. But I'd be really interested once it's done to see, A, they let you film in there. Are they going to let someone go there and stay the 2 nights and let you film? How much can you actually show?
Probably not at first. They'll probably be restrictive at first, but as it happens.
Going back to the Twi'lek, I immediately thought of Quark. It's this is Quark. This is the barkeep at the station.
Yeah, that knows everything that's going on.
And he's gonna be your go-to guy. He's gonna be the tavern where you go to get your quest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really interesting. So that tech was all there. They showcased this at D23. That was really the only Star Wars stuff that was there. But still, very interesting. But we have some other news.
Yeah, so we actually found out that there was a ton. By the way, 8 tons of Pokemon cards, counterfeit Pokemon cards, were seized in Shanghai just recently. making their way to the United States, presumably, but now they've been stopped.
Hopefully they haven't made their way already.
Yes,
Like
we
sealed
just got a bunch
product.
of Pokemon.
it was the article.
Check the wrappings.
The article that I read didn't say whether it was sealed product or loose cards or anything like that, but
Okay.
eight tons.
Oh, man,
So
smokes.
Yeah,
16,000 cards.
Yeah, that's oh my god. Yeah, that could like swamp that could like
You want to talk about flooding the market?
mess an economy. Like, you know what I mean?
Totally messing kind of like who do you trust? Like what can you trust? Like that kind of thing. So
That's why secondary market is scary nowadays
Mm-hmm.
because the fakes have become so prevalent.
it's not just Amazon you have to worry about. You have to worry about the fakes as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming out of
Honestly, if it's not sealed and it's not coming from obviously us, but any kind of a game store, because game stores, I mean the ones I know, the ones that I talk to, we all get our product directly from the distributors. So unless the distributors are somehow getting, and they wouldn't do that because they wouldn't take the chance of losing their actual license with the actual like Pokemon company or whatever. So buy local if you want to stay absolutely safe. Of course, always support local. We of course we preach that because we are local. But if you want to stay safe, stay off Amazon, man. We're already seeing it happening with Magic.
Do you test Pokemon fakes the same way you would do Magic? Is there like a backing light
That
system?
I don't know. I've never, because I haven't sold singles yet of Pokemon. I'm only doing the Magic. With Magic, we got the light test, we got ink tests.
Because those EXs is like a sheet metal, like if you can counterfeit that, and I'm assuming that's what they're counterfeiting. It's not like the commons. Who cares?
A jeweler's
Lamb
loop to start checking some of these cards because we've had a couple cards in the store lately. Once the cards get over $50, as you're buying them, I get nervous for two reasons. One, the store could be losing money. Two, if I don't catch it and I turn around and sell it to a customer, that's terrible for them and for me. Why didn't I check it? I'm going to be looked as the responsible party once I'm selling it. So we have to start, looking a little deeper at the cards.
Do the forensics.
We got to do the forensics. Once we're talking over $30 to $50, I mean, I don't blame somebody if they bought something from us that was fake. So we got to do our due diligence. But there's been a couple cards at times when I'm looking at them and they don't feel right or they don't look right, and then you got that fear is building up in me that there are fakes all over the place now. And all my customers are telling me, I buy fakes from so and so online for proxies, and I've seen them, and they're good. They're good. I mean, they pass the quick look. There's no doubt.
8 tons of Pokemon now in the world, so the fake. So
8 tons got caught.
Oh, okay,
so
cool.
who knows how many have gotten through?
It's like
that's
cockroaches.
crazy.
You see one.
Yeah, that means there's more out there.
And that's a tip. Like, you don't find 8 tons of Pokemon. That's a tip. Someone's like, this is coming in.
Somebody got
because
pissed.
that's just like
Somebody
something.
didn't get their cut.
It's
and
not
whatever,
8 tons of crack cocaine.
They
you know what I mean?
had
It's
8 tons, and they wanted the other 8 tons to get caught.
Yeah, maybe so. More TCG stuff because we're living in the TCG era now. We were Tage was on Discord the other day talking about just how much TCGs are coming out now. And we were kind of reminiscing of the 90s and I immediately thought of the Kevin Sorbo Hercules TCG, which was abysmal.
Was
there were
there
a whole
a
bunch.
Xena one?
I think there was a
Had to
Xena
be.
expansion
Xena
to it. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that was definitely out.
Magic, Vampire the Masquerade,
Yep.
Spellfire, which is the D&D one I talk about all the time. People don't even know that exists.
I've never heard of that one.
There you go. Look it up. Spellfire.
I played the Highlander one. That was hot garbage. I played Spawn because I was a big Spawn fan. And oh wow, that was terrible.
Yeah. There's a lot of garbage out there.
There's a lot coming out now. Kickstarter is full of them. We've got a couple of new with Flesh and Blood and MetaZoo. I had to say Flesh and Blood because I'm here finally. But I mean, it's just kind of fun to see like how things are cyclical. How even retail is cyclical. We're going back to TCGs, and we hope that it doesn't crash the way that it did last time. And
if the quality of the games that are coming out are better, which they've been, Flesh and Blood, as you say, it is a better game.
Well, I'd actually mentioned the Discord. I hope that Flesh and Blood doesn't get lumped in with any of these that might be subpar because it is a new one, and there's already kind of like that, the Jets and the Sharks, which I'm a Magic player. I don't want to play Flesh and Blood kind of thing, like their sides of the streets kind of thing. And I hope it doesn't get caught on the wrong side of the street.
I think what'll save it is that it's a good game.
Yes.
In the end, that's all that matters. I think Tage even mentioned that on the Discord today while we were chatting about it. If the game is good, sell the game. Don't sell the shiny. Mm-hmm. It'll become shiny if the game is good because you want it because that's a powerful card. And that becomes the shiny.
The 6 months ago, a year ago, of alpha box of Flesh and Blood Welcome to Wraith was like $76.
Yeah.
Today it's like $6,000 because the game is actually good.
Don't remind me. Because the first editions I had a chance at least a case when the store was fledgling, but I I had to stick with my guns and stick with the staples, to get on the map. But I learned my lesson quickly, believe me.
Well, at least we got what we got now, so that's good.
And we keep trying to get more,
And it really could be a positive case of the pandemic with, like, these games grew in the pandemic or grew out of the pandemic. So, like, if there's anything positive, now we might be on the downside. The other side of that sword is, like, now we're going to get you're making money on these games, and we're going to just start flooding the market again.
I mean, we've been through it, though.
Yeah.
We've been through these things, and it's up to store owners and it's up to consumers just to be smart, pay attention to how the game plays. Don't just get caught up in the shiny. Play the game, do a demo. Oh, I always say, do a demo. Any game that we sell in the store, look at MCP. We put MCP on the shelves. Blew up.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's a good game, too. I mean, on top of the fact that, don't get me wrong, I know it's Marvel. And you can slap Marvel, Star Wars, those are IPs you could throw in anything and it'll sell. But in the end, it still has to be good. And from the way
available.
We
talk about Star Wars Destiny all the time. Great game. We loved it. It was a sound system. Broken hearts.
Digimon card game.
Can't get it, right?
Can't get it.
When I see people asking for it, I just feel so bad because it's like you
I
always
feel
say,
bad because they want it, and I feel bad because I can't make the money selling it because
Yeah.
I can't get it. Not at the extent that they want it anyway. And Flesh and Blood is still kind of suffering from that. When I get the first editions, we only get so many. No matter how much I might order, I'm actually trying to order like 80 boxes.
Oh, for the next set?
For the next set. But there's no way I'm going to get that.
Yeah.
No matter how much I order, there is only so much that I'm going to get. It's really directly related to how much they print. So we'll see what happens.
They're also trying to expand as well. They're trying to figure out where their niche is, like how much is good. Because I feel like when they put out Monarch, they did too much unlimited. So they're still trying to find that kind of like perfect wave of how much is the right unlimited, how much is the right first edition.
First edition too?
I'm sorry, I said too much. I meant too much first edition.
Okay.
Because you can still get Monarch first edition relatively easily.
I still have it in the store.
TOA, not so much. TOA is a little bit better. So they're trying to hone in on that perfect number of what they want. The next set's weird, though, because it's not a regular set. It's not a standard set for Magic parlance.
It's a tough number to hit, though, Chris, because you got growth as well as people that lose interest. So it's probably going to fluctuate with every set.
Yeah. And I think investors are kind of influencing it quite a lot.
I'm sure they always do.
Because they kind of went crazy with Crucible.
Yeah.
And then they overprinted Monarch because they thought it would be there, and then it kind of, I don't want to say it went to zero, but it definitely kind of went down a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, especially on the unlimited one, too. But the first editions are still out there, and they're still going for over $200, which is good, though, because we don't want it to be crazy anyway. I mean, I want the investor quality there. I want people to say, all right, if I buy and I stick it on the shelf, in about a year or so, I'll get some good money, good return on it. But also, I want it to be available to the players. I get it when it's out of print, you got to pay a little bit more, which I think first edition Monarch is in a sweet spot because it's not $700 for a booster box. It's around $200, which is double because the unlimited is out. To me, that makes sense. I don't want it to be. I mean, first edition Wrath, what was $6,000?
Yeah, $6,000 was the last one I watched. So who knows?
I mean, that's just absurd.
That's crazy.
You're not buying that. That's. Is anybody even buying it? That's the other thing.
Was that the number 2 set?
That was the first set.
First,
very
Welcome
first
to
set.
Wrath.
But even the second set is up there $4,000 or $5,000.
Number 2 is always like that happens in comics. Like number 1's good, number 2's worth way more because either it went and everybody bought number 1 and kept going, or like number 2's like
That happened with.
I have so many like GI Joe. I don't know if it was a GI Joe number 2 comic I could never find because like for some reason everybody got number 1 and then number 2 like
that's that hype. That's that wave that Chris is talking about. Is how popular is it? Did they print enough? That they probably didn't print enough for the number 2.
There's a not realizing it. Either it's over or under.
Arcane Rising, the pre-release event was the week before lockdown. So the week we shut down was release weekend for Arcane Rising.
Oof.
So I think they had said something like they had thousands of pre-release events around the country, and like 15 of them actually ran.
Wow.
Yeesh.
So that's a lot of product that
was sitting around, which is why it was still available for so long up until recently when they announced just last week. Week before, 2 weeks now. That they stopped printing?
For the out of print of Arcane Rising, that was 2 weeks. Yeah. But since I was last on the podcast and spoke about it, we've actually had a U.S. Nationals champion, a guy named Tariq Patel. Sorry if I mispronounce his name. He actually won with a Briar deck. Go figure. For anybody that plays Flesh and Blood, you know who Briar is.
Go figure.
But Everfest is coming out. That's going to be nice. That's another supplemental set, and then hopefully we'll see some new heroes after that.
A supplemental set, and it's also going to be recyclable packaging.
Yeah, they're going paper packaging.
They're going paper packaging.
Hopefully they do better than the original, what was it, Modern Horizons for Magic had paper packaging, and it was
did not do
supposedly
well.
kind of easy to open it up and pull it out if you were an unscrupulous store owner.
The packs themselves had like a foil system.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It
It's
had,
not
it, had,
foil,
it had a
it's-
pull tab.
Yeah.
Like kind of like the secret layer outer boxes have that pull tab to open it, but apparently there were glue on the caps that you could peel
could
away, look, and
Melt a little bit, whatever. You could get in there.
Nefarious.
If you were nefarious, you could. There was things to be worried about.
so I'm hoping they're still crimped, like the plastic, like
That's
the
what they
plastic
look
ones.
like. I mean, we're only seeing visuals. We haven't actually seen like a video or anything like that. I'm sure something will come out soon.
I just like the
about
fact that it's a
somebody opening
carnival. That's fun.
That's good. It's cool
Is he
art.
the first world champion? Is it the first like
He was the first U.S. national
US
champion.
national.
The US
They haven't actually had the World Championships yet. They're going to be, I think, in a couple weeks, maybe. I'm
Is
not
that
sure
his
exactly when they are.
invitational to Worlds too?
So yeah, they have like a whole pro system. We just hung a poster in the store. There's $1 million on the line for 2022.
Wow.
Across all of their different events and stuff. So they're kind of taking. I think we talked about it before. They're taking the vacuum that Magic left
in the tournament scene.
in the tournament and like the pro tour stuff, and they're trying to fill it, which is good for them.
Yeah, people want it. So
I think the game plays better too for that format. I think that's just it feels like more like a versus type of thing. I mean, that's what I see when I play the game anyway. But I only played Prism, and I'm starting to acquire cards for Bolton
Oh boy.
because me and my paladins.
that what he
Bolton
is?
is basically a paladin.
do you help us? God help us.
I'll stick to my ranger. I will continue to lose.
I
Thank you
went
very
with
much.
Prism first because she looked almost like cleric-like, but in the end, she's really an illusionist.
She's great. She's
Yeah.
great.
She's powerful. She hits like a truck too. So yeah.
Against
But,
the right, I'll get the right combat. I got
yeah.
the right combo. She's
Yeah.
abysmal.
I'm just tired of Kodachi. All right, there, Mr. Wayland. Kodachi. You block? No. Kodachi? Yeah, I like how he says it too. Do we all play now? I've only played Way with that deck. Is there anybody else
Way's
that plays?
really one of the only ninja players we have. Ninja's
there
a
anybody
strong
else
class.
playing it?
No, I don't think so.
Because I want to know if they all say it with that looming question.
Kodachi for one?
Kodachi for one? Like, is it?
It's his own personal inflection.
That's what I'm saying. I wonder if that's something that they all develop, or is that just Wayland's little sauce he's putting on it?
I think that's kind of a known thing in the community.
In the
that
community?
Kodachi for one is very powerful.
It's very powerful. Okay.
All right, now I'm done with my fab soapbox, so we can go back to the regularly scheduled programming.
Oh, you want to talk about Halo again?
Oh boy.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, don't get me started.
Don't get me started.
We could talk about the debacle that's 2042 Battlefield.
Oh goodness, it's a hot mess.
And then I also heard that Battlefront 3, you want to bash EA? Let's go right now.
right now, with no start yet. It's not.
Because they're not making Star Wars Battlefront 3 EA because the licensing costs, they would have to sell 20% more games to pay for the licensing costs. They rather make a Battlefield game and make 100%.
Set up the cost. Yeah.
Let's just do loot boxes. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, how about make a really good game? And people will buy it. Like, because Jedi Fallen Order is a really good game that we're only going to sell maybe we'll sell 600,000 copies, and they sold 4 million. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah. Because the game is good.
game's good. So they said Battlefront, they don't want to do it because of the extra costs.
They don't want to do story anymore. That's the problem.
Well, no,
they
but
don't want to do story.
The problem is the next two games are single player games, Star Wars games. They don't want to do. See, Battlefront is like it's got a big enough. You have to have a humongous team to do. But Dice pitched Battlefront 3 to them, and they said no. So Dice already had what they were going to do for a game. This is what we want to do. These are where we want to go.
Or maybe they'll go somewhere else with it.
It's funny. Me and my son Lucas had this argument or discussion about but is there another company that can tackle a Battlefront style game on that level? Because Dice is just really good at that. Like, can you go to another studio and could they make it feel? Because I'm like, all right, what about Activision? He goes, but it wouldn't feel like a Battlefront game if Activision did it. The way Activision's a little more fast paced and I understood what he was saying, like how they present their games and how their games move and feel. I was like, you know what, you're right. I mean, Dice is really good at it, but then again, it's not Dice's fault here. This is EA's.
This is EA, yeah.
And then supposedly Battlefield's, and people were complaining about Battlefield has like the worst Steam review of any game on Steam is Battlefield 2042. So I don't know.
It was not ready.
No, and
right
it's I don't know. That just
The only thing cool is like the matchups, the when you make it your own kind of thing. And even that
Portal,
is buggy.
but even Portal just doesn't have enough. So like I said,
not
is it
enough
too
there.
early?
It's still cool. But then Halo just happened to release a little bit early by accident. You know, I think they definitely saw that
Well, there's
as an
espionage on
opportunity.
all levels there. I think like those companies know when people get greased and get paid off. When's this coming out? Like you're a little
And
guy in the
Halo
studio.
just released some more content already. Just yesterday.
Yeah.
According, which will be Tuesday.
But like, as much as I am not a Halo fan, but when I see Halo being played, it looks like a finished game. Like it plays like a finished game. Like when
It's
I
got
watch
problems. It's still crashing on PC.
Yes.
but
Well, that's like
it's
but
beta.
it looks
It's a beta.
what Halo's supposed to look like, right? So I was upset because they found out one of they call him, I forgot his name. He's the George Lucas at DICE. They call him the George Lucas of the Star Wars Battlefront because he's the one that like engineered everything for Battlefront and Battlefront 2. He's left DICE, so he's the one that's come out and said a bunch of stuff. They were supposed to have Ahsoka and Ventress were supposed to come out as playable characters.
I saw that.
Right at the end, Scarif came out. They were preparing for it, and then the game got abandoned. So and he named a bunch of other content that was scheduled for the first Battlefront. Said, well, we can't do it, so it's got to go to Battlefront 2. So we got iterations of it in Battlefront 2, but there was stuff that was left out there because we didn't have time, didn't have money. And then Ventress and Saj would have been, Asajj and Ahsoka.
Perfect team to add, too.
Two
Like those
dual-wielding, one dark,
both
one
sides.
light force. Oh, man. So this
Ventress would have been an amazing addition.
would have been awesome. So, once again, talking about games that you want to get angry. Speaking of getting angry, if you use BattleScribe as an app to make your lists and stuff, the BattleScribe is officially on the death clock, you want to call it?
Yes, it's on the death clock because the original owner and creator of the property is no longer involved in it.
Or at least it hasn't been updated since 2020, I think, the beginning of 2020.
With the changes to operating systems going on or whatever, it might fall off by the wayside.
Yeah.
as
So the people
far
that
as
edit it
support.
and add the content to it is their own community of like Reddits and Discord communities that add the info in. They're very fervent about, but the actual software is on the death note because once an OS changes enough where it's pushed out. Now, is that GW getting to that guy and be like, hey, we got our own apps. Here's the, either the cease and desist or you got the money.
We were talking about that before. Was it like stop doing it? And with the blowback they've been getting with the stop doing it stuff, I don't think they went that route. Maybe they went with the, here's a check, just walk away.
Yes.
You want to know how GW stops people from making apps like this? Make a good app themselves. That would really actually
I
fix the
think
problem.
We were talking about beforehand.
I don't use the 40K one, but I've been building on the AOS one, and it's been
pretty good.
It's light years on their free builder. They have a War Scroll free builder on the GW community page.
Yeah.
It's still kind of got a lot of old last edition stuff
It hasn't
on
been
there.
updated fully.
But you can make a list there if you want, and this one's a little more. It's just
the app is still in beta, and for a GW beta, normally GW beta I wouldn't even look at.
yeah.
If I hear GW and I hear beta, that means don't touch it, right? Anybody else's beta, I would probably give it a try because GW has just a bad track record with this stuff. But from what I'm seeing out of it so far, just building a couple Stormcast lists, it's been fine.
Yeah.
All the data is there. It's intuitive enough. I mean, is it perfect? No. But
No, it's got some glitches here and there. But
for a GW product, now you compare it to BattleScribe, and if they're going to fall off the wayside, then this is just going to slide in as what you're going to use.
yeah, and a lot of people use BattleScribe for right now, so it's interesting to see. Is that a time sabotage? Is that something that's calculated, or is it just?
They just happen too.
Yeah, so interesting to see. If you use BattleScribe, I'm sorry. But in other news. Oh, well, I guess we can go right into the main event. It's Dragon Week.
Dragon Week at Games Workshop.
Dragon Week.
And it actually applies. It's actually hit a couple other platforms. We've had some D&D releases. As you can see, the lady on the table is gargantuan Tiamat
For
from
those who
WizKids.
can't see, it
is amazing.
It is amazing. It is, without a doubt, the best WizKids miniature, if you want to call it that I have seen.
I remember when Tyranny of Dragons came out, WizKids put out the original
Tiamat.
Tiamat, and it was, I don't know, 6 inches, 7 inches off the ground on a peg.
Yeah.
A peg.
It was flying in the air, and it was
flying,
still only like 6 or 7 inches off the ground.
It's not
This
much
thing,
bigger than the blind box, almost like the old one.
Yeah.
This thing is massive.
I mean,
And this one is scaled to play, if we talked about last week, like on a grid.
yeah, she has her base. That's her base
Yeah,
size.
so when
If she
she's
was
in
to
your
play
grid,
on a grid,
you know, she's in her, probably that's like 50 by 50, you know,
just imagine like the red seal
look at this guy.
trying to fight this.
Yeah, I've already imagined Urzu inside of the red dragon's mouth, and it scares me.
Yeah, no, it's an impressive mini.
It is, and the detail is good. The color is good. The painting's good. For me specifically, the white dragon has been something that can be the head can look a little derpy. We were talking about it. The cover art of the Rise of Tiamat book, I didn't like the white dragon head.
That's an older.
It looked
book,
like an
too.
old
He looks-
rendition.
Looks great there.
It looks fantastic here.
I love white dragons. So you did mention that the wings and the tail it's a 3-piece model. There's
It was
the body.
actually a 4-piece total.
4.
It was the torso and the head is one piece attached to the base. The wings were separate. They actually clicked in. I don't know if I can unclick them.
Gotcha.
The way they went in, I don't see any.
It's like that plastic joist
There was
going in.
a little lever that once it popped in, I heard it click, and same with the tail. The tail will probably come off because there was no click with that. It just rested in there. But the coloration is great. The design of the heads is fantastic. They're all very. She's actually posing. She's actually swinging at somebody. So someone's about to die.
And it's funny too. I love how D&D has coined, if you want to call it that, the actual look of all the colors of the dragons. Like blues are very, they're all different, but they all have that
heads
central
have
horn. The whites have the fin.
Yeah, and that's why I was happy that they made the white a little better.
Yeah, green has its own distinct. Really interesting. We're all staring and quiet. Like,
Yeah,
like
because she's just great to look at.
Their models have gotten so much better. If you go back and look at some of the blind boxes for Tyranny of Dragons versus the blind boxes today,
it's
the
night
model
and day.
quality is so crazy. How much better they are.
The Snowbound minis are amazing.
and they had that X-Wing game. It was the dragon game with the X-Wing templates and stuff. And like those are some of the first dragons I remember before the
Attack-Wing.
blind box. Attack-Wing.
Attack-Wing.
Those were like, you compare that to this, it's like
Just night and day.
insane.
Unbelievable.
Which is funny because for all intents and purposes for manufacturing, this is not a 3D printed model. So this is a resin
this is all
cast or a
molds.
plastic mold,
Yeah,
injection
definitely
molded
plastic
miniature.
injected.
And it's pre-painted.
Yeah.
So like think
And
about
it's
that.
Sturdy. It's a rock.
Yeah.
There's nothing. The flimsiest piece on it would probably be the tail, and that's not flimsy.
And there's very little touch up that you could have to go back and make this not like this is awesome quality paint job.
You could make it better if you're an avid painter. There's no doubt you can make it better, but out of the box,
No,
it
that
looks
there's
fantastic.
a lot of blind box minis that I'm like, wow, this needs paint job.
Dude, the
I mean,
blending of the
guy with
colors of the
eyebrows
heads.
and like the eyebrows look like
it's
eyes,
terrible.
eyebrows. They were like, whoa.
Yeah. The blending of each head and neck into the main body, it's fantastic. I can't say enough about it. I can't stop looking at it, and that's why we had to bring it from the store
Yes, she's
for
awesome.
the podcast, just because we wanted to show everybody.
I think you were mentioning that they're actually going to expand on their dragons. They're going to do.
I knew you like to get all the dragons, so they're going into
So
the
the-
good dragons, right? Do we have a picture of the gold dragon?
I think we put it in the dump.
So here's
It's gonna burn in the fire.
Well, the gold dragons. The new design with the gold dragon is the wings attached. Yeah,
Yeah, he's sitting on. He's standing on the base. He's not flying.
He's not flying. Yeah, that's what I didn't like. The other one was flying.
I think it looks cool. I mean, the chromatic are going to be harder to do, I think, from a paint standpoint. To make them shine, but to give
And
them
they still look real.
to give them the depth with like the shading is going to be tough.
Yes.
Yeah, the silver alone.
So now here's what I was actually thinking on the ride over here. So they did the 5 colored dragons. They started with red, they did black, they did green, blue. Well, green's coming out hopefully in a week or so.
It's still MIA. Yeah.
Then they did her. So now they're going to do. Are they going to do the 5 chromatics?
And then do him.
Or I should say the 5 metallics, and then do
him.
the man.
Well, he needs to be redone. I mean, I have his original, like you talked about the original T-Mat. I have his original, and
He's got to be this.
he's a tenth of the size of this.
gotta-
He's got to be as big as this.
Interesting.
And I was disappointed when the D&D set came out for Magic that they put him in the set, but they put him in his human
They
form.
put him in this human form, yeah.
Oh, they didn't give him.
I wanted to see him in his dragon form. Is what I want to say. 'Cause
Especially since she was a dragon.
They should have been opposed.
Or he should have been modal. You should have been able to flip him over.
That would be cool.
a modal
Listen, wizards, you listening?
a modal
Bring it.
planeswalker.
Bring it.
Flip it.
Hey, maybe that's in the next set. Maybe that's
Well,
in
the Baldur's Gate
Commander's Legend
Commander Legend set is next year, so maybe they'll sneak them in there.
You know what kills me though about the good dragons is like a copper and a bronze are going to be so
close.
Very
close.
similar.
I mean, obviously their stylization of their wings and their horns are different, but the color palette, white, blue, red, green, it's very distinct. So
It's hard with the metal. I mean, look at the gold dragon is entirely gold. There's no. Maybe they should have just the chest area and the head, and then maybe
or did like
dimmed it out. I guess it's just hard.
You got it. I think you got to go full. I think you got to go full metallic though.
Yeah.
As I will buy them all, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah,
I'm going to have all 5 of them, but I'm wondering if there will be dragon fatigue. Like the red dragon came out, everybody bought it because it was the first one, and the red one is on the cover of the book, and it's on the Dungeon Master
Red
screen.
dragon is the iconic.
and
dragon.
you traditionally don't fight good dragons.
Yeah.
Like they are NPCs and you run into them, but like
No,
these
'cause
are all
most
your
most-
enemies.
Most parties are good, and then even the good dragons, they don't do that. They don't bother with that. Unless you were
Yeah, they're
threatening them, like actually hunting them.
Yeah, but traditionally they're not an opponent. Like she's an opponent. Like so, and a red dragon, a white dragon, they're your opponents in
She's a
the world of
protagonist.
adventuring.
If you're a good party, maybe you're a bad party.
I guess, yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Even
I'm
if
down
you,
for
but
hunting
even,
good dragons.
but even
Yeah,
if
good
you're,
dragon hunter
even
party
if you're
tomorrow.
a bad party, though, you have to hunt them because they're not going to be.
They're not.
you.
Yeah, they're not making a scene.
Yeah, no, yeah.
The silver dragons aren't going around eating people.
Yeah, they're just they're
know?
like, hey, dude, what's up? And like fly away.
They
This
might
one's
come
like,
and
I'm
they
gonna
might
eat your
come and eat
face.
your cow. Sorry, man. Things
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
But they're not eating you and your kids.
Yeah, there's a
Whereas
different.
a red dragon eats the whole town.
and does that affect sales in the end? You know what I mean? Like,
That's-
or maybe they're smart and they won't. Maybe they're gonna be limited more than what
Don't
you
do
would
that.
get.
Don't
the
do
other
that to me because then I won't be able to get it. And
Yeah.
I'll be very
Listen,
upset.
as a
I gotta
good
get right to you.
as a good guy in everything we like, from Star Wars to D&D, bad sells more.
I know it does.
It does. It always does.
But they look cooler. I mean, you just got a better.
I would debate that they look cooler, but
No debate. They do.
I would debate that they look
See,
cooler.
this is on my side.
This side of the table
That's all
is leaning. I just want to let you.
2-1, 7-1. Why? Because I'm a good guy. I'm used to taking on bad odds. See, this is why it is this way. The truth of the matter is, they both need each other. And when the bad guys rise, the good guys have to fight it, right?
True.
And pretty much any game you play, 90% of the parties that are made are good fighting some kind of evil. And the truth is, evil sells. I mean, listen, even me as a D&D fan, look at the shirt I'm wearing. Right? Who's my favorite character from
looks
the
pretty
show?
evil. Looks
It's the
pretty
evil guy.
Well,
Even though I'm a lover of good.
Avenger was awesome. Though.
Avenger was awesome.
But he
I mean,
looks cool too. I mean, it's
he
like,
looks cool. He was a great villain. When you find out his backstory, that makes it even crazier. And then he was voiced by none other than Optimus Prime himself. So we actually even have him hanging here as well too.
Just hanging out with his girl.
Just hanging out with his girl.
The-
Actually, they don't get along in the show.
it's like the opening scene. Like he shows up and
Yeah,
like they chase each other away. It's like
they don't like each other at all.
that's really awesome.
But Avenger's one of my. I mean, that's the next thing is I got to get the sideshows Avenger in the store because he's just fantastic. Again, evil sells.
Yeah. It's true.
Right.
But also with Dragon Week, right? We're getting in Stormcast Eternals are getting their dragons.
Finally, we're getting
Finally,
in.
yeah, I know.
We're getting in Krondus.
What's the clock down? What's the countdown clock down to?
Krondus and Karazai
Yeah, I don't
are
know.
the two. I think it's the dual kit for
yeah.
the big dragon, and then the Stormdrake Guard.
Yes.
Which apparently were so strong that they've already been nerfed before they hit the table.
Yes. Yeah, supposedly the word was that they had extra time at GW's and they wanted to maybe
Extra
go
time.
over and revisit.
Extra
one
time
of
by
the
ass.
rules.
Somebody
Right.
smoked somebody on the
Yeah.
table with the Stormdrake Guard,
The
and they were
guys I
like,
wa-
"Whoa!"
The guys I
these
watch on
things
Honest
are
War Games like,
OP.
how many games do you think they actually play tested to go? These are maybe not where they want them to be. And one of the English guys, like, they played one game, half a game, mate. That's all they
half a
played.
game.
That's all they played to realize, what, maybe these are, not where they want them to be. The other ironic part, though, is they did. If you go watch the Warhammer Plus battle report that they flew the dragons in. The two dragons came over, not the big ones. They got
The Stormdrake?
They got waxed.
They got waxed,
They
yeah.
came over and they. I think it was
Was it
against
the big guys? Was it
No, it was
Krondus
the
and
it was the Dragon Riders.
Oh, it was the Dragon Riders. Okay.
They came over and the ogres just shellacked them one round. They were gone. Like
Okay.
so, I don't know on the parameters of is that GW's when they were playing it? Were they playing it poorly? Is it like I
they
think
probably weren't playing it optimal. They played a little more thematic
and if
on
you
those
just
battle
chew,
reports.
I think the power. I think what they had to go look at is once again we always talk about it. GW wants you to play narratively. They want you to be like, get a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Someone's gonna go, no, I'm buying 9 of them. That's my army. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna
and they have to account for that.
They have to account to that. So I think maybe when they looked at it, the sins of Sons of Behemoth with the giants being so dominant in the meta, They had to look. Or what if it's part of Stormcast, but what if someone says screw every Stormcast unit? I'm just putting out dragons. You know what I mean?
I've been building Stormcast lists, for the past couple of weeks because I'm getting into it and I'm building models. And there are a lot of YouTube videos out there, guys that are better at this than I am. So you go out to the internet to find the information. And these guys are making these lists and they're putting tiers on the units. A tier, S tier, whatever. These things haven't even been on the table. And every video I watch has the Storm Drake card as S tier. And I haven't even played with them yet.
Do you think when they designed this specific set or any of their sets, do you think they go top down? Like, we want to put a dragon on the table, let's make rules for it? Or do you think that they start with the rules first? We want to make a big monster, let's make a rule for big monster and then design it into a dragon. Which way do you think that they go? I think
it's got to be mini first. There's a drawing. Some guy like Jess Goodwin comes up with a drawing. Wow, look at that drawing, dude. Yeah. Let's make that a mini. Like then the poor rules guys must be like cracking open the bottles of scotch, taking extra shots. Like, how are we gonna make this work?
They've admitted to it because historically in the past, it's like a politician making that one bad comment. We're a minis company first, rules company second. They've said that. They're trying to change that appearance because I think that was a mistake on their part. But I think that alludes to what you're talking
Definitely
about.
Top down.
I think top down.
And they can say a lot of those guys on the Twitch stream I watched were talking about how they really it's surprising to them and they're really happy that GW is addressing a problem before it even is released. It's very rarely that they usually let it go into the world and it's a problem, 6 months later we'll fix it. They're actually looking at things before they're hitting the tables and being like, this could be a problem, maybe we should preemptively get on top of that. And it's kind of different for them. It's not their norm.
It's proactive.
It's being proactive.
And that's good. We were talking about it with X-Wing and whatever. A change.
Yes.
Although might be, this is ultimate change. This is change before we even see it.
There's really unprecedented for them, more or less. I heard that Kragnos performs horribly on the table, and the rumor is that they're changing his rules. Obviously they want to sell more kits, right? He's not a big seller because everybody knows he sucks. So they're changing a lot to him to make him better in game and help in the end probably more sales for him and stuff. But that's something really looking at it well, why isn't no one playing this?
Well, maybe they're learning. Maybe they're actually learning because we just said, they probably do mini first, right?
Yeah.
Which is great because it's eye candy. Look at this mini. It's fantastic. Oh, my God. Team Matt's amazing. Then you see the stats. She sucks. Not that she does, but I'm just saying if that happens, it doesn't matter how good the mini is.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to buy it no more.
And think about it, too. If you're a playtester, if you're a GW licensed playtester, and I'm sure this is the guy that just is off the cuff, I'll tell you the exact truth. It's gotta be a lot of guys I want to stay a GW playtester. I'm not gonna rip this the new a-hole that it deserves. Because I like being on the know.
That happens too.
You know what I mean? So how much of their playtester group is really objective?
That's just another
I wouldn't be. I'd be oh wow. I'd be you guys I'd be come to when Phil turn the cameras off. You got these new minis coming out, dude, blah blah. Turn the cameras back on. It's just human nature. I would want to be on the end and I really wouldn't care if it was balanced until let them fix it down the road. Yeah. So you always wonder what is their playtesting really.
It's like you said, they're having a drink. They saw the mini. They saw the artist work. Oh, this is fantastic. How great this will look on the table. Yeah. And then the R&D guys are like, oh my God, what did you guys make?
Think about
what
this.
What are we gonna do with this?
Think of this miniature, and they're like, we gotta have rules for that now.
Yeah, what? It's 3,000 points. Okay, this versus your whole army. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, it's
5 heads. They can all shoot breath at the same time.
Yeah, oh my God.
She's nigh indestructible. And she flies.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Have fun picking that up on a table and trying to place that fly 16 inches and land here. Oh, I didn't mean that by it. 17 inches, sorry. 17 inches and land here. My God, you're talking about knocking over the world trying to move these things. So yeah, really interesting.
I've already figured out how I'm going to use her against my lower level party.
Just put her on the table and they'll go home.
They should, but they won't.
Yeah,
They're not that bright.
Doesn't she have? Don't they have the Dragon Fear roll? When it shows up, you gotta you have to take a test.
You could just
when you're low level, you're not passing that test.
You can lose your bowels just by looking at her.
So that's kind of cool. It sets up where you're gonna shit your pants, and you have no choice. So now deal with that. You want to throw a javelin? Be my guest. But your character is not going to get there.
We haven't fought her yet. Either I haven't played against her.
I don't want to fight her. I'd rather fight 7 white dragon. I'd rather fight 7 of any other dragon
than
fight her.
Yeah.
Because there's also that idea, and this I don't know if you guys agree with me. I don't want to kill the iconic. I don't want to kill Tiamat because then to me that ruins the idea of in your own world. Because once again, this is my fault. my D&D world's continuous. Like I make a character, he's in the world where my other characters died, lived, and are.
Yep.
So like the idea that Tiamat's gone from my world, or
but is evil ever really dead?
And she's
No,
technically
Palpatine proves that,
wait,
right?
Yeah.
she's also technically a goddess.
it is true,
So
but you
could be
can
killing
kill.
the prime material form.
You could kill a god. You can go and do those things, but do I want to? I just like knowing that, like, I don't know.
I think it's just
Thwarting and defeating is different than like removing from the our cosmos. It's not the cosmos.
I think
But
it's just the evil in you that just does want to kill evil.
I just want, I want it back. I want it around. It's not so much the evil. I don't want to kill the good guys either. Like I don't want Elminster to die. I don't want Dritz to die. I want to know they're in my world.
I got a couple demons on my list that I wouldn't mind killing.
Yeah, but if it was like Asmodeus, I wouldn't want to kill him. He's like,
Nah, I wouldn't kill him. But there's a demon called Garyon that I want to kill because he killed Decion. So
Okay,
I want to kill him.
I guess
He's
it's like
the-
lower
he's the reason-
tertiary.
He's
It's like
the
when
reason I
there's
have
like
a D&D character buried in my backyard in Staten Island because of that demon. So
I'm down.
I need to kill that.
I'm
guy.
down. Okay. But like, there's certain like facing it and fighting it and defeating it and sending it back and like kind of.
Have we talked about that yet? We haven't talked about my character buried in Staten Island, have we?
We might have in the early.
In the early
we did,
ones?
yes,
All right,
yes.
well,
I remember
That might have been
saying-
episode one.
Might have
Yeah,
been episode
I
one.
think,
Okay,
yeah.
all right. Well, go
That
back
was,
to episode one.
Hey, that was 16 episodes ago.
Oh, it was sick.
Not at two Sal.
Hey,
at two, Sal.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
He was born on the 16th. What do you want?
Yeah, I can't help it. Anyway, so once again, GW, we're getting GW dragons. You know, it's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
We got giants.
I mean,
big
they look,
giants.
and then what's it's a mini company. Let's talk about the minis. The minis are amazing.
Yes,
They look fantastic.
People are complaining about the derpiness of the big dragons. Have a
The face is
almost
could
like a
be
dragon heart, like a softer tone.
It's a
Which I
little
don't mind.
softer.
It's cool, like because
It's
they
still
are
cool,
good
though.
dragons.
Yeah.
When you
The
look at
Drakes
some of the
I love the Drakes.
yes.
The riders.
They
look
actually,
fantastic.
Phil's actually looking at an article right now. There was another article they releasing about all the other dragons that are in the
it
dragon.
the historic one.
We'll go
yeah,
back if you want to put that one up. It's kind of funny.
You want to talk? That's what I'm saying. If you want to talk derpy,
oh, these are old.
look at
So
some of
here's
that.
the play.
Look at
What
those
was the
dragons.
first dragon as he's scrolling through these? What was the first dragon when you guys were playing
That
that
one.
you remember?
Not the little ones. That one right there.
That one there was, I think Beto specifically had that part of the Wood Elf army.
Okay.
I remember that one.
I don't remember that.
See, I don't remember any of
I don't
these.
remember
I don't remember that. The top ones, Phil, go to the very top. Those were like,
They're like whelps, aren't they?
yeah, they were like not familiars, because they were like pretty big. They were on like 50 mil squares,
Yeah.
or like they were bigger. I remember them, but they weren't really part of the game. That one I don't remember at all. That is the zombie dragon
Yeah.
for just undead.
Undead. Yeah.
See, that was the dragon that I remember.
Wood Elf.
The
Yeah.
Wood
The-
Elf one. Yeah.
That's the first
actually,
model
no,
of a
is that the
dragon that
Dark
I've
Elf?
seen.
No, that's the Wood Elf. Dark Elf one's going to come up with
okay.
that was he had a name. I forgot his name. That's the Chaos
That's
Dragon.
Chaos Dragon. I
That's
remember
the
that,
first Chaos Dragon with the rider. That is
That's the black dragon with the dark elves.
no, I think that's the High Elf Dragon. I think there's a High Elf
That was a
Dragon
High Elf?
too.
I thought
Yeah,
that was
because he's got
Dark
the it might be the Dark Elf Dragon. It's a weird paint job.
Wait, hold on a second, Phil. I want to see that. You're right. No, up a little bit.
So you can see
No, I'm sorry, the other way. I want to see the writing on the bottom. Keep going. No, the other way. Right there. Dragons have always. It says Chaos Dragon?
No,
Or is
no,
that the one
that
underneath?
one below it.
Okay, so the blurb is on top of it.
You could edit all this good stuff out.
Yeah.
This is great TV.
This is great TV. Phil, go back up a little bit.
Scroll
Towards
to
the
the
top
type
of the
that's above that dragon. Yeah, right there.
Right there.
What does that say?
Note the double heads and tails on this Chaos Dragon.
Oh, they just totally skipped that.
They
That's
just,
like
yeah, they're not even talking about
that's
it.
GW perfect editing.
'Cause isn't that like Dark Elf?
I think that
Iconography?
Kane with the squeezing heart might
okay,
be. So it might be Dark Elf.
Yeah. What else we got down there?
Keep going, because then there was the newer Chaos Dragon is the one with the split heads. It actually had a head that split down the neck.
Yeah.
That's that one.
That's that way.
He was cool.
Yo,
but once
that's
again, dude, that was
terrible.
metal. You
Yeah,
know how
that's
hard that
metal.
was to pin that? Look how far those hang over. Nightmare.
Yeah, try counterweighting it too, so it doesn't fall over.
That's the Black Dragon.
Yes.
That was, but see, that's the newer Black
kinda
Dragon.
cool.
Well, it's
Dark
on
Elf.
either a circular or oval base, so it's definitely newer.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was in old, and now it's
That's the High Elf.
That's the High Elf one that was like when we stopped playing. That was the current.
But that's what they always had. They had that like they were jumping off of some kind of perch or something because
Yeah.
they had to use that to counterbalance.
Yes.
The dragon.
Yes. Yeah. That was in plastic, that dragon, but still.
There
Oh,
we go.
jeez.
So that was like, there's your first Stormcast big model.
Now that came out right when AOS came out, correct? This model, this large one,
It was first edition.
one of the first waves.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
notoriously horrible for a dragon. I heard that its stat line, it had like barely any attacks. So it's like, why? I'm paying for this giant model and it doesn't
I see it's a little too smiley for you. Is that what it is? Maybe.
That for me, I like it, but people are saying it's very like
it looks regal. I think it looks kind
Yes.
of regal. I think it
That's
looks
my
kind of
thing.
good.
They are the children of.
it's almost like Sean Connery's faces in there somewhere from the voice. Like, because when they sculpt things, they're using popular culture a lot of times. So like having a little bit of a.
I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to play them, but I will own one for sure.
Yeah, that's a 160 mil base. I mean, you're
It's
talking
big-
like
it's
that's a
big boy.
pie plate.
That's 2 big boys. Yeah, and again, the tiers I was looking at, they look good. They're not super. They're not S tier.
It's one of those things. It's going to be on objective. How do you get it off? You know what I mean? Because then it's a hero. It could heal itself. It's going to be a nightmare.
It might get off itself based on the rules changes we were talking about.
Well, yeah, we're going to be really interested to see what's going to take place from there. But yeah, so Stormcast getting the dragons finally.
All right, so we got those dragons. We have this dragon. We have the gold dragon. The only other dragons that we didn't get to talk about yet were some of the movie dragons.
Yeah, like what is, when you guys see this, like put in the comments below, like what's your favorite movie that has dragons?
You want to limit it
Mostly-
to movies? You want to go media? You want to do TV shows? Because there's a couple TV shows you could throw in
We
too.
could throw in media in general, I think, but I've always been more. I mean, the movie ones are probably more memorable. They're sure that somebody will find a diamond in the rough that we missed, as always.
Yeah, any kind of like if you want to watch something with dragons in it.
Okay.
What would be your number ones? What's the ones you like remember? I know my first inklings of dragons, remembering them in a movie. Go ahead if you want to go being the elder statesman of our group.
Why do we always got to go there? With the old man going first.
Well, it's the same friggin' movie. We both grew up with the same movie.
That's my favorite. You want me to? We'll talk about that first.
Yeah.
All right. My favorite, I guess, because I am a little older, for me was the Dragon Slayer movie.
Yes.
Because it was the first, I guess, high production cinematic
Yeah, that was
appearance of a dragon.
like a full budget 1980s. The sweet, my favorite sweet
and
spot
it was-
movie, 80
Yeah.
to 84.
And it was also like
Sweet spot of so many good movies came out in
it
between.
was
that
also magic ending. It was the end. Like it was an old wizard.
Yes.
He had an apprentice.
and it was
He
fairly
dying.
low fantasy considering what was going
It
on.
was.
It wasn't a
Especially
very
you don't
high
really.
fantasy.
I don't want to give. I mean, can you really spoil a movie?
No,
that's
I would spoil the
30
hell
years?
out of that, 'cause
Can you
that's-
spoil a
you gotta
movie that's
do it.
30 years old?
81,
The wizard
yeah.
could not make the journey. He knew he wasn't going to make it.
That's 40
so
years,
he,
by the way,
he
but
died. He had him. He set up a scenario where he would die, and they would save his ashes, and then he would be reborn after they made the journey for him to fight the dragon.
Yes.
And the apprentice resurrects the master
At the very
and then-
end to
and
make
then
the
two
trip.
of them fight. And the scene when I forgot the actor's name. Oh man, it was a fantastic scene when he's on the top of the mountain.
The older gentleman?
Yeah.
He was an
He's
old
on
English
the top
actor,
of the
I think.
mountain.
I'm going to look up the cast.
And the dragon comes flying around. I mean, he's flying like supersonic. The way they show him flying too, and the sound effects they use.
Yeah.
He's up in the upper atmosphere.
And remember, it's all practical effects back
Yeah.
then, so no CGI. The dragon was, I might have even been early, was it early ILM?
Probably.
With-
yeah, because when
with
he was
an
flying,
animatronic,
but when he was
posable-
flying, I don't know. Was it that? I can't even think if that was when he's in the air flying. I don't even know if that was
Ralph Richardson was
Ralph Richardson.
was that
when the dragon's in the
wizard.
outer atmosphere and he comes flying down and he comes up from under the mountain and he just starts blasting the wizard on the mountain and he just turns and looks at him like
that was the first time I saw a fire ward in effect.
He
He's
had
just
a
like,
full-on fire.
"Et tu, qui sei?" Like he's saying something in Latin.
And the wizard just didn't even
Yeah,
flinch.
but his staff is
He
completely
didn't-
on fire. He's like, shit. He throws it down.
and
like,
he throws it down like, oh well, that's spent.
yeah. But
You know?
that burnt my brain as a
Yeah,
kid.
and
'cause
when
I'm
I
like,
saw
what?
that, I was like, "What?
Yeah.
This guy just stood there." And he took. It's also like the first time you see the. I mean, the dragon is in hover mode, all right, and he's just like,
And it was
like
the
right
first
on
real.
him, and that's when he starts.
It was that
screaming.
first D&D portrayal, like the way it was sculpted,
Yeah.
the dragon. It was a real first D&D
And it had a nice
esque.
build up to it,
dragon,
because it's the first time you see the dragon. Because the dragon's in the cave. The apprentice is trying to fight it with the dragon slayer spear.
But really
And,
interesting too that so like the premise of you need a mighty wizard. The only person who could defeat this dragon was
was
a
a
wizard. There's a whole kingdom that's laddering their kids off to sate the dragon by
keep
giving
the
a
dragon
sacrifice.
happy, they would just
have
sacrifice
armies.
the-
They can't defeat a dragon. So it's really interesting. Like
It was every month, was it? I think once a month it was
There
the cycle.
a certain cycle. So like it's really interesting. Like
yeah,
that.
every moon it was a moon cycle.
Yeah,
sort
like
of.
it gave the premise like why it harkens back to like D&D made wizard has to be really powerful, right? Like it lent to that era of movies and into the popular culture of D&D.
Seeing him stand there and take the dragon's breath and just like
Yes.
basically laugh at
Now,
it.
mind you, the apprentice was Peter McNichol.
Yeah.
He's in in like crazy sitcoms, like
Ally McBeal.
Ally McBeal, like weird. He's a weird actor to be cast as like the
Well,
protagonist.
He was really young. Yes.
But our favorite man was in it, which you don't realize. Ian McDermott was in there as
The Emperor himself.
Yeah, he was a priest.
He was a priest.
Who got flambéed. like he's there professing God to the dragon.
Yeah, and he just got beat. Yeah.
that was awesome.
Don't worry, there's a place on Exegol for him.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
Yes,
He
yes.
just resurrected and when his soul went back to his purpose.
Yes.
But yeah,
So that's my first like full on cinematic. I mean, I've had other appearances and likes of dragons. I mean, there's a couple other movies, but Dragon Slayer is my first one. I have a list of other ones, but
I'll go my first. But Dragon Slayer is
my
also my first. That like I said, that made me want to play Wizards forever. Seeing the power of a high level old man wizard, the dragons, the premise. It's really dark. It's a typical 80 to 84 period movie where
It's 81,
cinematography. It's right in that vein of practical effects, practical sets. There's a giant lake of fire that the dragon sleeps in, and I can only imagine that room being built back then with fire coming out of the water, like
a giant claw scene when he's grabbing her when she's on the
I mean,
stake.
and you know it's a big
pulling-
animatronic
Yeah.
arm and stuff, but just like the scope of what movies had to be made back then, you appreciate that for the accomplishments
we're
they
talking
made.
40 years ago now.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
and
literally 40
no
years.
computers. It's all like blue screen tracking with the dragon
I
flying.
was 12.
Yeah, but violent too. Like the girl.
Be quiet.
One of the princesses gets eaten, and
Yeah.
everything's gnawing on her legs, and like she's got bites out of her.
The spawn, the dragon spawn,
Yeah.
are eating her.
And then like it was the first time that they had like, you can't defeat this with a regular weapon, and this blacksmith's like, I made a weapon that we could, but
Kill it
it
with.
just needs something more. And
Yeah.
I'll never forget, he had it
In a
in a
water-
chained
in a
cage
waterfall.
that was in a waterfall. So like he's on the waterfall pulling this chain out.
You're like,
and
what
it's
is
a
he doing? Yeah.
it's a long like gibbets of and the spear's in there, and he's like, this thing's great. Like he gets a horseshoe and he cuts the metal with the horseshoe. He's like,
Yeah.
it's sharp.
Yeah.
And the apprentice like, it's not sharp enough.
Yeah.
So he has to use the dragon amulet, and like they superheat it,
Yeah.
and he cuts the what was it, the anvil in half with it. He's like, now it's
the
ready.
head of the anvil. He just chops it.
And
right
then the
off.
girl goes and finds the dragon scales, makes him a shield. She goes, this might protect you from the breath weapon,
which it actually does.
which it does for a little while.
Well, I think it was one blast.
Like one or two. He
and then it was
takes
smoking.
once again. Shield, like that was a first time you get to see a guy go behind the shield and protect it from a dragon breath. So like there's a lot of like things that are in D&D right now because of that movie and you don't realize. Shield Master, my favorite my favorite feat. But yeah, that's my number one. What's your number one?
So let me paint you a picture.
Okay, go ahead. Bring me back.
We're gonna do post-apocalyptic.
There it comes.
That comes to mind, right? You say, "Oh, it must be a zombie apocalypse." Well, you're wrong.
No.
Then you say, "Oh, well, maybe it's a pandemic." Maybe no, you're wrong. It's not a pandemic either. All right? Is it a gasoline shortage, Mad Max style? No. It's dragons.
And we all right.
All right.
Oh, we'll get back to him because he's the best character.
And that's the reason I love it. But it is Reign of Fire. I want to say it was like 2002, 2003.
Yes.
Christian Bale before he was Batman,
Yes.
and Matthew McConaughey chewing the scenery more than any actor I've seen since Jack Nicholson as the Joker.
Yes.
And the story basically is dragon eggs are found in England. They hatch, and then they create this post-apocalyptic wasteland.
Didn't they release the matriarch dragon was like buried in like a subway tunnel, and then like she came out?
His father, Bale's father, actually is the one that,
or his
like,
mother?
They're on a
like
dig.
an expedition of some sort.
Yeah, it was a downtown, some kind of dig.
But yeah, so and then Matthew McConaughey, the cowboy from America, has to come to England, and then him and Christian Bale, of course, butt heads because they have to.
Yes.
But then they together are the ones that are the saviors of the post-apocalyptic human
The
race. And
iconic scene as McConaughey flying through the air with an axe.
Oh,
By the way,
his death throw.
his
Like that
death-
was.
yeah.
If that's not like a fitting way to go, like he
that's
just
a dragon movie.
Yeah.
So, like you said, the problem is the dragon.
best axe
You know?
ever. That axe he had was like.
so that's my number one, mostly just because it's so memorable. the acting by McConaughey and Christian Bale.
Yeah,
Like
and you know, it's funny. Jared Butler was in there. He was Christian Bale's friend in the tower, and where they lived. And if you remember, there's a great Star Wars scene in there. They're teaching the kids Star Wars. The kids haven't seen Star Wars in the movies, and they're doing a play for the kids of Star Wars in that moment. It's hysterical.
They're treating it like almost like Shakespearean.
It was to them. It was Shakespeare all the way.
it should be taught in high school.
Yeah, pretty much. And they had that great system. If the dragon ever showed up, they had all the valves. They hid in the basement, and they would dump the water into the valves in the basement, so they would survive a blast. Water, Which is my favorite scene of that movie is when the matriarch dragon gets there, and he's on the top of the castle, and he just blows
right down on top,
right down the turret into the base of the castle, and he just holds it. It's just like, boom. I was great scene, great all around scenes. The dragons, I think the aesthetic of that's my number 2, by the way. So my number 2 is Rain of Fire.
Well, it's funny that all the 2 movies we mentioned, we do mention, although we're talking about the dragon, it's the actors, I think, in the end that pulls us in.
For sure,
right? Dragon is cool.
I went to the movie to see the dragon.
Yeah,
I left the movie liking it because of the actors.
One of my other ones that I like is Dragonheart with Sean Connery.
He was the voice. Quaid was the pseudo
Sean Connery was the voice of Dragonheart, and Quaid was the knight. That a knight of the old, I think he called him like that. He followed the old code.
He was originally a dragon hunter that kind of like
he killed his. He was the knight of the old code, and then his king has a son, and the son gets maimed, and his heart is breaking.
That's right.
And they find they have this old ritual where he can merge with a dragon's heart, and they're bonded. As long as they're both, as long as one lives, so shall the other. So if either one of them dies, but the dragon gives you the longevity. That's what the human gets.
But their souls are linked. That was the issue at the end.
But Quaid feels that because the prince winds up being rotten, spoiled little brat, and Quaid blames the dragon, saying that it was the dragon's heart that turned him evil. So he started hunting dragons because of it.
Interesting.
So that's why he was going around killing, and he wound up killing a bunch of dragons. Matter of fact, he kills the last female before he meets Draco.
Yes. If I remember the son, the prince, isn't he Professor Lupin, a young Professor Lupin from Harry Potter?
Yes, actually it is. So you see, the actors. It's the actors.
Mind you, Dr. Bashir, for you DS9 guys, Dr. Bashir was in Rain of Fire. His name's Alexander Siddig. He was the radio operator that would they would call in the helicopter. He in the cast with them.
Right.
He's on the cast here. I'm looking at him my God.
You said it,
Going back to Dragonheart for a second, they made a whole bunch of sequels of that too.
They did.
None of them were good because none of them had Connery. Once again, actor.
Yep, the actor's what draws you to it.
And a lot of them went to back then it was direct to VHS. Oh, yeah, that was the death knell of a movie.
The third and the fourth, forget it. And then there was also
what's that? What was your number 1 dragon movie? Was it
Dragon Slayer was my number 1. My number 2 is Rain of Fire, so you guys are hitting it. My number 3 is probably one of yours too, but we'll get there.
Well, then it's probably got to be Smaug.
Yeah, he's my number. That's my number 3 movie.
And again, we go back to the same thing. I mean, first of all, he was cinematic. It was great. New technology. He looked amazing.
Cumberbatch.
But then that's.
Oh wait. What's the common theme here? Oh, it's the actor.
It's the actor that brings the dragon to life.
But it's also what the dragon all right. So Rain of Fire, mindless dragons. You don't really get into them. Dragon Slayer once again has is a thinking beast and stuff, but doesn't. But Smaug was really the D&D. I'm going to talk to you, dragon. There is an insidious, why do you want to sit on this gold for eons? The psyche of what and why a dragon is, Smaug is it. You get in there.
And then that presence also contaminates the gold.
Yes.
The dragon is so evil and so insidious. It just contaminates the gold.
Yeah, it makes it even worse.
And that's what ruined that dwarven society in the end, was the greed and the avarice that came from all the riches.
Yeah, it's almost like it attracted Smaug too.
And that's what brought him in.
So was it the gold or was it the avarice of the dwarves that brought him there?
And the hubris, and also the hubris of collecting that much wealth and
and not sharing it.
What's his name's dad?
Thorin's
dad. Thror.
Thror, yeah.
King Thror. He's the one that gets the sickness. Maybe he would overlook his grandfather down in the.
There he is. Yeah.
I mean, dude, when you think of the scope of how much wealth is in that room.
Oh yeah.
And you think how many dwarves being long live race and mining and digging and all of that
for centuries.
Yeah.
For
So
centuries.
How many people in Lake Town could eat a meal with what's there underneath?
oh,
that
They- I
food
mean,
case?
they were
you could have
trading-
paved the road.
They were
from
definitely
there
trading
to,
with other civilizations. They were trading with the ills. They were trading with the humans. But in the end, they were just still being greedy about it.
yeah. But his
And that's what attracted this guy.
and his psyche too. The getting into Smaug's head
Yeah.
and like hearing him talk and it was there's once again there's no other. I mean, so all right, so Dragonheart's a talking dragon, but like it's a whimsical thing. It's magical. It has that like fairy tale feel dragon. He wasn't very. In one moment, you thought he was aggressive. Sean Connery's dragon. You thought he was like, oh, and then you get to know him. He's more of a.
It's Sean Connery.
He's more of a character too.
It's Sean Connery.
He has a heart, obviously. It's Dragonheart.
Yeah.
But he's a son of a bitch. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's the pure essence of what a red dragon should be.
Best part about the Smaug stuff is when you see Benedict Cumberbatch do the behind the scenes when he's like crawling around on the mat using the voice, and you watch the movie, you see the scene, and then they kind of like dual screen it, and then you see him acting it.
Oh man,
it
it's
is
so good.
And he's like undulating and he's spitting.
Dude.
It's like oh, he's on the floor crawling around. They actually made a little like couch or bed for him to jump around on.
I don't know if I made this up in my head or not, but I thought I read somewhere that he said he actually like hurt his back the way he contorted himself to like
I
to
would-
do
I would
the
not be
to do the
surprised.
dragon poses and the snarling and the head whips and stuff.
If you haven't seen it, you must watch that. I think there's just a small clip of it on YouTube. It's like a little 2-minute video, but they have
Of
it.
him doing it,
They
yes.
and if you have the extended DVDs of the movies and stuff like that, they actually have the full.
You know, Cumberbatch came in for the reading, and Peter Jackson's like, all right,
Yep.
good. When he saw that dude hit that first time, all right, get into character, do it, and they start filming.
Yeah.
Dude, he must have been like print the money.
Yeah,
That,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I
he
mean,
knew
like
it.
he made that second, and he's only really the second movie's his, right? Like that's spoiler, he dies.
But that's really
wait,
only like
wait,
the
wait,
first
wait.
half.
Wait,
right?
spoiler. Wait.
He ends up
Is it really
getting-
a spoiler? Because every dragon we just spoke about is dead.
Oh, boo.
yeah.
Poor Tiamat.
Because there's no there's a hard
All those dragons, every dragon we like and
Well,
love.
I think
there he is. There's a hard coexisting.
There you
yeah, he's just
see him. I mean,
he is a
come
madman.
I mean, and they're tracking his eyes and stuff,
Yeah. Well, and they transferred his facial expressions into
into a dragon. That's amazing.
There's the little
He's on his pad.
platform that they made for him. I mean, he gets.
I wonder if Doctor Strange does this. Does he have to do this for Doctor Strange?
I don't think so.
He gives Wong a show like at night. He's like, let's have some. I get a
There
few
he
drinks
goes.
in me.
There he
I'll do
goes.
Smaug.
There he goes. It's amazing.
Yeah.
With the
It's-
audio, it's even better. So.
But think about it too. Is so there's something
boy.
to discuss there for a moment too. Is like there's no coexisting with a dragon, right? There's a problem with like the world
Not with that kind of dragon.
living with. But even Dragonheart's dragon poses a problem for that society to coexist. Like, we know you can incinerate us in a second, so it's
Yeah.
always that like
The fear.
The
Fear's
fear.
gonna- yeah.
Going back to what you said about them all being dead, I think it's because the movies always tend to try to bring us back to today, bring us back to reality.
Yeah.
They're trying to tell us dragons were real, magic was real. Here's the reason why they're gone.
Yeah.
So that's why they almost always seem
Yeah,
to
every
die.
one of those movies was, the Dragon Slayer was like the last dragon. Rain of Fire, until they discovered it, it was the last dragon, but it was buried underneath.
Smaug's the
ground.
last of a long line of dragons from
she's
different
the
ages.
only one that they have to kill because she's the only one that can breed. The other ones they can't breed. Matter of fact, when they couldn't make ash because in Rain of Fire they eat ash.
Yeah, they have to
So they
burn
burn everything
burn like stuff to make ash to
to
consume it.
consume the ash. They started
Cannibalizing.
started eating
She would
them.
like, when they got to London and like they were flying in like flocks of them, and
Yeah,
she's
and
just
she would
picking
just
them off,
come in
eating
and
them.
just start picking, because she needed something, And that's why she went into hibernation. It's not the meteor that hit. I think that's probably what they hinted at. That it wasn't the meteor that was an extinction event. It was her. That was the extinction event.
Yeah.
that occurred, and
Yeah, they
And
gave
that-
historical
the
preferences.
ash that you see is the Mendoza line when the asteroid supposedly hit.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
exactly.
Yeah, the volcanic ash is really dragon ash. Smaug's in a long line of like ancient dragons that like Smaug's the last of a large.
Oh, there we go. It's a little World of Warcraft callback here.
Well, Warcraft has a lot of dragons in it, and the dragons were actually designed as protectors of the world, and then some of them actually, bent to the dark side, you could say.
Yeah, but once again, they copied the color
what I
scheme
think
of
it is.
D&D in the end. There's blue, there's
That's,
red flights.
Deathwing. Thank you, Phil. The voice from beyond. Deathwing, who was a leader of the Black Dragon Flight, which all the Black Dragon flights were designed to protect Azeroth. That's what they were there for. But he was corrupted.
And they copied D&D in a way, like a lot of there
colors.
wasn't a white dragon flight, but there was the blue dragon flight, the red dragon flight, black dragon flight.
Alexstrasza, thick with the 3 C's.
There's a green, right? There's even green dragons too.
She was green.
It was green.
She was green. There was another green dragon that actually dies in one of the storylines.
I forgot. There's a few like that are in human form, and once again, they did the whole Warcraft game. You had the human form dragon.
What was it, Northrend, where you actually go up to like the good dragon's keep?
The dragon's keep.
And
There's like a tower, and they're all
Yep.
there. Yeah, Chromie's there. She's the time travel one.
And I think the sleeping dragon, the time dragon's actually like napping,
yeah,
right near there.
Yeah, it was almost like a gold dragon too, like those dragons down in the caverns of time. This was probably one of my favorite the Cataclysm when
Deathwing lands.
Deathwing comes in and like destroys most of Azeroth, coming in and doing its whole thing.
You mean when he's just flying and he just causes
tidal waves and I remember when they're bolting on the armor too, like they're like there's like all like the adding all those
metal plates
to him. It's a great cinematics.
But guess what? He's dead too.
Oh boy, shed a tear.
Shed a tear.
Yeah, there's only really, I mean, obviously D&D has the good dragons that are.
But dragons are always
can
like,
be
I think Chris has
coexisting.
a valid point. Anytime any of these stories, it's like they're waning. They're, even my classic that I wanted to talk about. We know about the Lord of the Rings cartoon from back in the day. Some of you might be familiar with The Last Unicorn. It was like that cell shaded over live action animation that they had back
like
in the
Fire and Ice,
like
had
the
that
late
kind of
70s,
style.
early 80s.
Basking was about
Ranking Bass.
Ranking.
There was another movie they made. It's called Flight of the Dragons. It's little well known, but it's the same kind of storyline. Magic is fading, dragons are fading, and science is taking over. So that kind of thing's going on. But again, the actors is what made me remember it because one of them is John Ritter from Three's Company fame. And then the other is none other than Darth Vader himself, James Earl Jones.
James Earl
voices the main evil character, main evil wizard, and he goes ham on the end of this film, the final battle scene.
That's awesome.
He really gets into the character, and that he starts bringing out that voice, and I never forgot it. It's probably on YouTube. You could watch it. You can at least watch the last scene.
Those are probably in full on YouTube, which is great.
Yeah, because they're old. But Flight of the Dragons, and it had that old animation, lots of fire breathing, and as they're flying, the fire is just.
Is that your number 3? Like runner up.
It's just I have to mention it because it blends to the theme of how the actor is what made me really, really remember the dragons. And again,
James Earl's voice is forget it. That's up there with Cumberbatch. Like if Cumberbatch is in a school of James Earl Jones is like with the most baritone voice we could find.
Yeah, some people just have that voice.
Yeah, there are dragons throughout movies and shows that I can mention. I mean,
it's some weird hits like
I have to mention Falkor
from the Neverending
Story.
Yep.
Because what's better than a luck dragon?
That's true. Yeah, and it's funny too when we mentioned.
And that was a little bit. Asian influence.
Well, that's the thing I was just gonna mention too. Historically, isn't it interesting that like separate cultures in our own world have dragon mythologies that we're never close. So there's there's Asian dragons that have nothing to do with the medieval dragon, but there's they're
worshipped and they're seen as
there's that same premise
good luck
of dragon mythology across many cultures. So it makes you think: was there really dragons? Like at some point, was there something that was misconstrued as a dragon? You look at like a giant lizard, and it's like, oh, that's a dragon. They thought elephants were cyclops, and they found skulls of old elephants, and their nasal cavity to the ancient Greeks looked like an eye socket. So like that's a giant cyclops skull. Meanwhile, it's just they didn't know the anatomy.
There was a tusk there.
But interesting thoughts. Yeah. Some other weird like Rodan and King Ghidorah are dragon-esque, kaiju styles.
Godzilla himself.
Yeah. How to Train Your Dragon. I mean, that's a modern day kids like
DreamWorks movies. Fun.
Yeah.
Had a little Nordic vibe to it.
And it's kind of taking the lore of like different types of dragons and like bringing it to like a new generation and stuff. What else was mentioned?
Raya and the Last Dragon.
Raya and Dragon.
I haven't
see
watched
that.
Yeah.
You can even go 10 Rings. Shang-Chi and the Legend of 10 Rings.
That's right. That's right. I totally forgot about
spoiler alert.
And I just watched that last week. I should have remembered that.
There's a big dragon at the end.
Oh, you did watch it?
Yeah, I watched it.
It's good, right?
You know why you didn't remember the dragon? because I don't know who did it. There was no voice.
No
actor.
voice.
There was
Just
no
a
voice.
just a
That's why I didn't remember the dragon.
just a dragon.
Interesting.
When it speaks, you remember it.
Yeah, someone mentioned was there a Dragon's Lair the movie?
A movie.
Someone put that on a list here, and I'm like, Dragon's Lair had a movie.
You know what? It's possible, like a direct-to-DVD that we missed, or even a
Something bad.
VHS, something bad. Because that was.
It ain't
I mean,
good.
Dragon's Lair itself was a Laserdisc game.
Who's the protagonist in the Dragon Lair movie? Actor, go. Who can play that guy?
Dirk the Daring?
Today?
Today.
Ooh.
Brendan
I'm
Fraser?
thinking like Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan
Ryan
Reynolds
could do it too,
He
yeah.
could be
Yeah.
funny enough to.
Chris Evans might do a good tongue-in-cheek Chad
Yeah.
kind of like comedy.
Well, he's also he's kind of derpy though.
He is a
Like
little
Reynolds
derpy.
is not
You
derpy.
gotta go
Reynolds
derpy.
is
There's an
wisecrack.
actor out there who's got Dirk.
Brendan Fraser. Brendan Fraser.
Maybe
In his youth.
maybe
Mr.
prime.
Mr.
Maybe the Mummy Chaser,
yeah,
Brendan Fraser.
Well, Mummy Chaser, I liked Brendan Fraser.
I love the Mummies.
I
Those
love
are
the
fantastic
Mummy
movies.
But I'm talking like
Like Monkey Bone, like that
Monkey Ball,
that
yeah, like
kind of
the
Brendan
goofy
Fraser.
stuff. Did he do a Tarzan too?
Oh yeah,
Tarzan.
And
and
he
it
did,
did Doctor
Caveman,
Doolittle.
Encino Man.
Encino Man.
one of my
That's right,
favorites.
Pauly
Yeah.
Shore,
He's
the
gotta
Pauly
be-
Shore vehicle.
It's got to be a little derpy
But
because
if
it's
you
Dark
could,
the Daring.
if you could think of something else Dragon movie or something Dragon-esque that we're missing, put it in the comments below.
Harry Potter,
Yeah, you mentioned Harry Potter, that
Yep.
big dragon thing.
Goblet of Fire.
I think we get laughed off YouTube if we didn't say Game of Thrones.
Oh, of course.
Yep.
Yeah. Those were popular.
Once
too.
again, those are dragons are
well, they were gone, and they were reborn. In Game of
yes,
Thrones.
and not at full size because Daenerys' dragons. Like we're gonna see dragons in the sequel.
And we're gonna see what a real
like a real size because they showed the skull. Remember she was Cersei was aiming
it
the
was
crossbow,
like
and that
10
skull was like,
it was
oh.
like 10 times the size
Yes.
of the dragon.
So we're gonna see those dragons. Once again, those are dragons that didn't communicate. They're like tools, like they're engines
tools, yeah.
of death. Like, but they're not Smaug. Like they're not like you don't get in their mind. So it's
No.
interesting. Obviously it's the
I think that's why D&D dragons were always the best. I mean, Lord of the Rings, and
Hobbit
again,
being the
and again,
came
it
from
comes
Lord of the
from it
Rings.
comes from it goes
Fountain
back
ferments
it
all
goes back
springs.
to you know who for Lord of the Rings. It's all Tolkien.
But yeah,
we owe him we should make a shrine to Tolkien as well as Gygax.
yeah. Well, the Gygax.
Gygax pulls it from Tolkien.
Yeah, that's
So,
like it's the pagan roots to Christianity right
Yeah,
there.
right.
The dragon in Harry Potter was interesting too. I always loved that dragon. That dragon was tortured to protect the vaults in Gringotts.
Yes, okay.
And I'll never
Oh.
forget it had the clackers, so like it's trained to it hears the clackers
It knows it's gonna
and
get
it knows
pain.
it's gonna pain's supposed to
Yeah.
accompany the noise.
Yeah.
And then
And then the dragons that they fight in Goblet of Fire. There was a challenge.
the
Hungarian Ridgeback.
Hungarian
Hungarian Ridgeback.
and that's the character who was in the books that we don't really see in the other Weasley.
his
yeah,
brother's
the-
not till the end. My brother Ron, not Ron.
Charlie?
I forgot
Is
who.
it Charles? Is that the other Weasley that we
We're all
don't see in the
gonna- we're all
movies at
gonna
all?
lose
You know who it
Harry
is?
Potter nerd
You know
code.
I might know his name, but
I know who it is.
It's Hux.
It's, okay.
General Hux.
it's-
As the actor later on in the movies, he marries Fleur.
Yeah.
But my favorites when they were going through the bags in Harry Potter, and Cedric Diggory,
Yeah.
the new Batman, Rob Pattinson gets his. The guy pulls it out. He goes, Chinese firebolt. Ooh. Whenever he said that, it's in my brain. If it's my kids, I'm like, I pull out a Twinkie out of the box. Ooh, Chinese firebolt. But I remember that, like those cool little dragon proxy avatars,
like
like
miniature
here's your
avatars,
miniature.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
animated miniature. How awesome!
Yeah.
There's animated GW games in freaking Harry Potter world. Like I want to play in all their little things are animated on the table. Come on,
Oh my gosh.
I'm crossing streams. I'm sorry.
Yeah, easy now.
But yeah, I mean, any other dragons we're missing?
I think we touched on just about. I mean, I'm sure there's ones out there that we've missed. Hopefully, people can leave some kind of comment.
Yeah, if
And
if there's
let us
ones
know
that
that we
like the
missed.
home runs and you're like, wow, how can we miss that? We miss a lot of
Oh,
things.
well, I mean, I can mention. Oh, well, we got to mention. I have to mention it because I wrote it down. Maleficent.
Yes.
I thought she was well done when was it about 5 years ago that movie is now?
I think that might have been longer.
Is it that long?
I think Maleficent 2 might have been like 5 years ago.
Really?
At this point.
Oh boy.
And you know what? Her Disney animated dragon as the Black Dragon, classic
Oh, that's
dragon
a classic.
too.
I mean,
like
yeah. I mean, that's a classic.
the green fire. I remember that as a kid seeing that. And I'm like, wow, this is like another.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're more right. 2014, Maleficent came out.
Oh, that's not bad.
So,
About 7 years.
But her animated, the animated
I'm not
cartoon
that
of
old
that
yet.
one.
Whoa.
But yeah, so Dragon Week.
Everybody loves dragons.
I mean, I don't know anybody. I mean, everybody loves to kill dragons.
True.
That's what that. In the end, I think that's what we discovered.
I'd be okay with just riding a dragon. That'd be kind of fun.
I mean, even in RSG, what do we have? We have a dragon head
Yeah.
mounted on a plaque.
We need some more dragon.
We
We need the
more
black
dra-
dragon. Right?
Well, they're on order, including the owlbear.
That's awesome.
Not a dragon. We'll
Not-
say that. We'll save that for.
Not a dragon.
We'll save that for the week where we talk about all the animals that are smashed together.
Yeah, we got to get that Elithid that you saw at PAX that one year.
Oh no! I still have that picture with my head. I put my head
Head into
inside
there.
it.
Yes. So yes, that's our Dragon Week news. We'll kind of looking forward to. There's a lot of dragons coming down the pipe, so hopefully you have them all in the store. We could
Yep.
take a look at them.
And on that note, we'll talk some store news real quick. We have the OP kits for Marvel Crisis Protocol.
Yes,
be in the store.
we have an event going. I think it's already booked, but there's going to be an event for one of the kits, right?
One of the kits, yeah. And we have, I think, 5 kits in total. So this will be the first one.
Yes.
It is already booked because MCP has exploded in the store.
Yes. And a discussion for another day, right? The change to Marvel Crisis Protocol's rules through AMG.
Yeah, they just had a really big rules update where they changed some beginning of game procedure. They changed a lot of rules on cards. They made some characters better, some characters
Also,
worse.
by the way, AMG.
Yeah, that's a discussion for
another X-wing
Another
discussion.
X-wing slash.
or the idea of the discussion to be like when you buy a book now, it's not the be all end all. It's going to change very quickly past the rule sets of.
I
of
really
your
think
current.
that we're coming to an age where digital is the best way to go because we want the rules updated, we want it done right, and we want it done fast. And the best way for them to do that is
And you want it
digital.
editable, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is a mistake. You don't have to.
Digital is the best way to do this.
Discussion for another day, but at the same time, I just want to make sure that it's all in one place. MCP right now doesn't have that as far as I know.
Yeah.
So like I have a bunch of cards in my binder that may or may not be right.
Yeah.
And I have to go to some
And
other
that's-
website to find it.
that's
I want an app.
That's an X-Wings version 1 problem that no longer exists.
No,
Correct.
but I feel like it's coming back because there's going to be the ban list is coming up. There's going to be cards that might get errated or like, oh, well, we're going to change or like rule. Once again, I think X-Wing is going to suffer from rules changing without being in one place or not set in stone yet. Some of these are up in the air. So discussion for another day.
Before we move off of MCP, to say it's coming up on Tuesday, and as far as I know, I think Way's going to run those events on Tuesday. So if you're an MCP player, even if you didn't get a spot,
Come take a look.
come take a
Come take a look.
Come out, play a game.
Yeah. Because there'll be other games breaking out as well, and then also sometimes people don't show.
And exactly. That wait list is a thing, so please get on that.
And that kit is a scenario based for MCP.
Everything in MCP seems to be where you're given a scenario, you play against another player, and then both of you walk away with something. It's not really as competitive. There's no like first place prize winner. It's meant to be come in the store,
It's participation.
bring your models,
And the
have some
prizes are
fun.
open. They're in the box. It's a
You
participation.
pretty much play with your prizes.
Yeah.
So like the scenario that you're going to play with is the prize that you're eventually going to walk away with. So
Gotcha.
you walk in the door, you're handed
And
your
you hand
prize, you play it, and
get
then you
right on
leave
the
with
table
it.
and use it.
Yeah.
It's like they give you the keys to the car. Yeah, drive around.
But
with
you
it.
do have to bring your own. You have to bring your own minis. Correct?
You bring your own minis, and a lot of us have terrain, so that'll be kind
table's
of
already
the
set, yeah.
stores will kind of have places set up with all the people's terrains, but at the same time, come on out and just enjoy the day. It'll
If you
it'll
don't
be
have
fun.
them, someone's going to have pretty much all of them there.
Yeah, and then
See what
people will
they-
probably be playing MCP the rest of the day too after that because the hype will carry over
Yes.
after the little event, and people are going to still be playing.
Yes.
More OP kits are coming. We got our hands on the Aces High one.
Yes, the elusive
The
eights, the ones
elusive
that we
eights
said
is
we
fine.
weren't gonna, that they never bought, or the whole fiasco with those.
So I don't know what happened. Somebody changed their mind because I was told that they weren't even going to buy it.
Well, AMG's got to be like, come on, dude, like we got to get these
Yeah.
into people's hands.
And
Like
Aces High is how we've been introducing people.
it's
X-Wing.
it's
It's
the
just a
first.
nice,
If you're not gonna play the
easy-
first 200-point games, it's
Yeah.
the first like we buy one ship and
Or even borrow a ship.
yeah.
And just play. You know, so this new kit should help with that. So
that's cool.
that's coming to the store next week as well.
That's supposed to have pre-built like a ship card that has all the upgrades on the ship. But you might have upgrades on a ship that normally might not have upgrades on the ship. So it's going to be an interesting like one build to play with. And I think that alt art card is for you to come home with. So it's a similar thing where you come with your ship, the contents of it will come home with you.
I think that's AMG's new model is to not do competitive, not do tournament scene. They want to do like just play our game, participate, have fun with the community, and then take this home. Like the first MCP kit, which I think we're actually going to kind of skip right now, is just like, did you buy the core set and did you build it? Here's a patch. And it literally says assembled, like as if the Avengers assembled.
Yep.
So it's pretty much just a come and interact with our game in the store.
In the store.
It's less about competition and butting heads and stuff like that. Even though there's still a place for that, it's more about just enjoy the game and have
I
fun
think
playing with the community.
We'll see. It's early. It's breeding what I've noticed a better atmosphere. That community's been non-competitive. They play against each other to have fun, but I don't see that. I don't see it getting too sweaty. So
that's exactly why I have gravitated towards it because
and then that attracts more people. And I mean, that's good for the game. It's good for the community. It's good for the store. It's good for retailers. On and on and on.
And like, let's say 6 months from now, when the group has been playing forever and new person random comes in, if it's not hyper sweaty and hyper competitive, then they are more apt to jump in and join midstream
X-Wing
than it is.
Yeah, actually, we have a good enough community. Our actually community is really
X-Wing.
good for bringing in like new guys. Like, hey, I'm new. It's like, all right, dude. Awesome! Come play this game. We're gonna play. You know,
we got a new guy in just
and
this
then
week.
there's a league, and then there's a tournament for those guys that want to do that. But there is something there for people that don't want to play in that way. But it's weird interesting to see is AMG. It's like that's going to be their focus. Are they going to do what GW did, where they backed out? No more world tournaments and stuff. Let the second, third party people do their own versions of tournaments. It'll be interesting to see.
These two games have a serious advantage, though. The IPs are so much more popular. I mean, GW, we know what it is. We've been playing a long time, but to a new player, it looks cool. But Star Wars, it just
Marvel.
sets off all these,
Well,
alarms.
GW's returned.
Marvel
GW just had their sanctioned, tournaments in America. They have 3 of them. There was Texas,
Florida,
and like New Orleans, I think. And those are theirs. Like that's their in-house run stuff. So they've kind of come, around the world in 80 days kind of thing.
They've started to realize again that they have to be a little more involved.
Yes. So maybe AMG will back off and go, hey, maybe we should come back. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see. But it's cool. I'm glad you got the OP kits. Those are going to be some fun bling.
Yeah. Other than that, I think we're all caught up.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening to episode 16.
Yes. Welcome, Chris, into the fold.
Thank you very much for having me again. I really appreciate it, guys.
The third member of the Three Musketeers and the Bullshit Tower. And
Bullshit Tower. I like that.
Yeah. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And as I always say, never stop gaming.
Keep rolling dice.
Always shuffle your deck.
Yeah. Always draw cards. I like shuffling your deck.
Oh, yeah. Always draw cards.
Always draw cards. Always Kadachi turn 1.
Oh, no.
Peace.